Okay, they want us to find NF, which is NF, this whole distance right here. They want us to find that whole distance. Well, to find that, we're going to obviously have to find out what x is. And to find out what x is, we're going to have to use the fact that these are similar. And if they're similar, I can set up a proportion. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that this 4 is to this as that distance is to that whole distance. So that's what I'm setting up. So 4 is to x plus 3 as x plus 3, which is the smaller side down there, is to, and this is the tricky part, 15 plus, remember this part is 15 right here, only that's 15. So it's got to be 15 plus x plus 3.
I knew that.
Okay, so now let's set up, so that basically just is 18 plus x, right? Or x plus 18. So now we're going to have to cross multiply.
No.
Yeah, 15 plus 3 is 18, so I just wrote 18 plus x on the bottom there. Okay, simplifying. Okay, so ready? Let's cross multiply. 4 times 18 plus x equals x plus 3 times x plus 3. Now what do I have to do? Distribute. So 4 times 18 is like 9 times 6, which is what?
72.
72 plus 4x.
72 plus 4x equals...
Sorry, it was 9 times 8,
times
not 9
18?
times 6. In my head, I do this. I do 9 times 2, and then I break this up in that, and I do 8 times 9. It's just easier in my head, although I made a mistake, so I'm an idiot. All right, back to this. So that equals, now, here's the thing a lot of people forget, is they have to FOIL this out. So I have to do x times x, which is x squared, x times 3, which is plus 3x, another x times 3, which is plus 3x, and then 3 times 3, which is 9. A lot of people just think they can write x squared plus 9. That is not correct. So don't forget to do that. Now I'm going to take this equation, clean it up, and I'm going to set it equal to 0 because I have a quadratic equation. And how do I solve a quadratic equation? I use factoring or I use the quadratic formula. Go back and watch those videos on solving quadratic. So moving up to here, I'm going to have x squared plus, that's going to be 6x, but I'm going to subtract 4x to move it over, right? So it's going to be 0 equals x squared plus 2x. And then this is going to be positive 9, but I subtracted 40 or 72. So it's actually negative 63. Okay? And now I have to factor. Can that factor? It actually can.
Wait, x to the third?
X to the second.
Okay, so again, to review, what I did is I took this equation and I realized, ooh, I can't just get x by itself by moving things to one side because I have an x squared and an x. That means it's a quadratic equation. So in Algebra 1, you learn how to solve a quadratic equation. And the way you solve a quadratic equation is you set it equal to 0, and then either you use the quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Remember that mess? Or you factor and cancel. Not factor and cancel. Factor and then set them each, use the zero product property. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this. That's my first. I'm going to put it here and here.
Oh, we did this yesterday.
And I'm going to take this. What does that break into? That's my last.
You could do many things. You could do 9 times 7.
How about 9 and 7? Because what do 9 and 7 add to?
16.
Nope. One's a positive and one's a negative because it's a negative.
No, 2.
2. It's either positive 2 or negative 2. And what do I want it to be? Positive or negative 2?
Positive.
I want it to be positive 2. So what do I make? Which one do I make positive? The 9 or the 7?
7.
7.
I want it to be positive, so I make the 9 positive because it's bigger. And I make the 7 negative because it's smaller. So now look at when I multiply those together. What's the outside plus the inside? 9x minus 7x. And what's 9x minus 7x? 2x.
Awesome.
That's factoring. If you don't understand it, you're not the only one. This is one of the most confusing thing for people when they move forward past Algebra 1.
Wait, is this one where you have to do like plug in x for 0?
No, so now what I do is I say, well, if 0 equals something times something else, that can either be true if this thing equals 0 here or if this thing equals 0 there. So now I have two linear equations. X plus 9 equals 0 or x minus 7 equals 0.
Oh, so
So what does x equal? Either
it would be 9 because x can't be negative 7. X can't be a negative
nope,
number.
you're wrong. Let's solve these.
Oh, right.
X equals negative 9 or x equals positive 7. And which one is the correct answer?
7.
That's right. The correct answer is not 9 because you don't have, if you plug that back in up here, you'd have a negative value. Let me use a different color. If you plug this in up here, you'd have a negative side value, side length, and that can't happen. So x has to equal 7. And so now let's plug 7 back in for x here and here. So this equals 10 down here, right? And so what's the whole thing? What's NF equal?
25.
25. It's 15 plus 10. 25 is your answer.
I want to go to the gym.